Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony's subscriber hangout. Today, we're going to be giving away a product to one lucky member that the program snatched. I see Michael Joaquim Fernandez from the land down under. How are you doing? Christian. Hey, Christian. Christian is here. Jeffrey Davis. Steve Van Tiefsen. How you doing? Let's see here. So, before we get going, got this jersey for the winner this week. The Patron, Christopher Roxbury, was pulled. We've got a bunch of people in the, what they called, I guess, Lioness, and then now we got Lion Pride and Lion King and so forth, and then the Cubs. I think Christopher's in the Cub. So, Christopher, basically, you can see, I wrote Veloharmony on here. I tried to get it to blend so it wouldn't ruin the jersey. And then I put 2019. I don't know if Christopher is here yet. Yeah, he just came on. I'm talking about you, Christopher. You won this, man. So here you go. It's coming to you in the mail. I pulled your address. I will put it out in the mail tomorrow to you. This is made by Santini. So that's what you're going to get. There weren't a whole lot of people that put out their addresses there, so it's a small pool. So those of you who have not put your addresses on Patreon, go ahead and put your addresses in there. There's not a whole lot of names in there, so you stand a better chance of winning now until things really get flying. Hey, Nomad, how you doing? Eric Nell. Hey, Eric. I don't know if Paul's here yet. I don't think Paul longer has logged on yet. But I was just letting everybody know who just came. Christopher Roxbury is the winner for this month's Patron of the Month. We appreciate all your support. Mensor, how you doing? David Steele, how you doing? I remember David. Long time I haven't talked to David. So I will mail that to you, Christopher. It will be in the mail tomorrow morning. I'll package it tonight. I have my wife drop it off first thing. We'll send it priority mail so you get it in a day or two. Hopefully you'll be able to ride this weekend. But I decided to go with Veloharmony, and what I'm going to do is I'm talking to some printers. I may get some way to replicate the graphic that you see in the studio on the banner and just stamp these products. I'm going to look into that. We'll see. If not, I may stencil it or something. I used to do a little bit of art stuff. Jeffrey, welcome. Sean. So I just got back from a short ride. It was raining, and the video that I made with the Asos, I took the Asos overshoes out. And of course, it performed great. I saw some comments. I didn't get to see all the details, but some people were talking about, let's see here on the video. They were talking about they wanted me to do the water hose test. There was no point to it. You hold it's like taking water. It's like testing a raincoat. Fabric on the inside, they have fabric on the outside. That shell, it's waterproof. I don't know how to get it to breathe, but I took it out for a little over an hour and I rode pretty hard. And my feet did not sweat. It's just drizzling right now, but it's enough rain to where it's going to work really great. And then that front, that looks really tough. Those of you who saw the video, I think it was Charles M. I was talking about garden hose test. Those of you who saw the video, that front is also water resistant. So whatever fabric they use, that's why I put the ticker there when you watch the video. It's very, very technical. And that's why I decided to get that, because it's going to be great when it's wet, So that's kind of cool. Hey, Philip. Welcome. Munez Goro, how you doing? So you patrons, when we pulled the records, there weren't that many people that I think people had challenges getting their addresses, the shipping addresses in there. So the people who don't have addresses were not pulled. So you got a small pool. So now's the time. You guys stand a good chance of winning. So I was very surprised that it pulled Christopher, but just luck of the draw. So you get that jersey. And I will have to go through and see what I'm going to start doing at the end of the month. I will specify at the end of every month what the drawing will be for. Things like canisters and stuff, I can't ship them, so I took them out of the pool that the manufacturers are sending. Valiant Floyd, how you doing? Sean Lackman. He said my vlog motivates him to get his K's in. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. This weekend was really weird. Saturday's right. I wasn't sure we're going to have much of a turnout, because even Christian had sent me a text, and I told him with the rain, you never knew. So we rode up there, and we had a few people, and then you guys saw more lashed onto the back. But it was really cool to sit at the back and do that narration, because you don't get to see that very often. Because usually if I were with more in them up front, we wouldn't see what developed back there. But I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that. And it happens a lot. There's nothing wrong with what they do, but I just wanted to point out that when you're writing, don't follow the wrong people, because a lot of them are not paying attention to what they should be paying attention to. So instead of using their effort now, they use it later when it's futile. It's kind of like sprinting after the race is over. That's a good example. Instead of using your effort at the right times, they don't think about that. So let's see here. Eric Nell is here. So Jeffrey Davis threw a question out there. He says, any consideration to producing a kit how to video? A kit how to video. I'm not following, Jeffrey. You're gonna have to any recommendation on producing a kit how to video, fit, socks, and color, what not to wear? Oh, yeah, I've already done that. I believe I've done that in many group rides, a lot of the prologues, as far as, you know, how things pop in the different colors. I believe I have one in there in the it might be, I'm not sure which playlist it's in, but yes, don't remember right offhand. I know I've talked about it in detail, how I put my kit together, how I grab a color from, you know, jersey. I know I've done that. Let me check the video manager here. Verdell Jackson, is that a new kit that you will be up? Is that a new kit? I'm not sure when you say, is that a new kit? We have a kit. I mean, it's about a little over a year old, the team kit. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Verdell. We have a kit. We need to order a new batch. We sold out. Well, we have to order. We order from Santini, and we get them in batches of 15. I want to do another 15 because I want to take off. I think Christian was one of the people that suggested take off the HTTP Veloharmony.com and just put Veloharmony and make that bigger. Anytime you make a change, they want you to order at least 15. So what we've done is on the website, we're allowing back orders. So once we get about 10 orders, then we'll go ahead and order a batch of 15 kits. Because some people get the whole kit, some people just get jerseys. And so I don't want to tie up a lot of funds getting things that will stick around. You know, they sold out fairly quickly, I guess, but you know, the shorts move slower than the jerseys. Let's see here. I'm trying to find this thing for Jeffrey here. Let's see. It's got to be in the cycling wear. Hey, Carlos, welcome. Hey, Paul, welcome. Just so you know, Christopher Roxbury won this jersey. And I put the Veloharmony on there and just put the date. And I did it on the back also. So it blends in nicely with the jersey. So those with discerning eyes, when he wears it, he'll have a story to tell them. I'm trying to find, there's a video that Jeffrey Davis asked me about with the kits. I know I did a video on... I think it's, look in the cycling kit playlist, Jeffrey. Let me pull it up. Somebody asked about our kit. What are we going to be doing a new kit? I'm just updating Paul since he just got on. And I just explained to them that we need about 10 orders on the website, and then we'll order a batch of 15 because we want to drop that HTTP. We're keeping the kit the same and have Santini make the Veloharmony a little, they'll size it. The designers know what they're doing. But we want to do 15 because then we can make that change. If you do less than 15, you got to order exactly what you ordered before. And it won't make the other one obsolete because it's like an evolution. Let's see here. I'm trying to find this for him. I know it's in here. Cycling kit. I'm going to get the name of the... Probably in cycling in challenging weather. Let me see that. Or tips. I don't remember what I called it. I'll look for it, Jeffrey. I'll look for it. I don't remember what I called it, but I did make a video. Let's see here. Who do we have? Carlos, welcome. Michael Black, why do you recommend? Who do you recommend for bib ties for long distance riding? Santini, Rafa, Assos, Castelli. When you buy the bibs, doesn't matter which one. I put those names out because I own those, and I've personally used them. When you order the bibs from these guys, that some of them would tell you these are for shorter rides or these are for long rides. That's all you're looking for, because the chamois, they give you a different kind of chamois if you're going to be doing a lot of hours, so to 3 hours or more, and that's going to be good enough. So you don't need anything that specific. You just need bibs for long rides, and they'll tell you, most of the top guys, their bib, they tell you specifically that you can wear these for shorter rides or these are best for longer rides and so forth. But you can't go wrong with those brands. Okay, he said what Verdell says, when he joined, it showed you holding up a new jersey. Sorry for the misunderstanding. No, that's fine, Verdell. It's not a problem. Our kit is not new. It's a little over a year old, like I said, and we sold them out. So if you go to the website, under the web store, you will see it in there. You know, they're sitting in there. Everything's sold out. So we got to get a new batch. But we're not changing it. We're just going to modify the lettering a little bit as far as taking off that website address. Because now the channel has grown to the point where, you know, Christian will say, hey, Paul, Christian is online. Christian said that when you do the next one, drop the HTTP and just do Veloharmony, because we're known now. We're a brand. You know, at the time we were just getting going. So we put the web address there. Now you put Veloharmony on any browser, you know, our videos are popping up and so forth. So yeah, no problem. There's no question here that's not encouraged. So don't worry about it. This is a hangout. You know, let's see here. I hope I didn't miss anybody here. Chris Roxbury wants me to sign the jersey. Okay, that's fine. I'll sign it. I got to stretch it out really well to sign it because the fabric, I don't want the pen to get stuck. I'll do that before I ship it. No worries. No worries. Okay. Let's see here. Jamal Griffith, welcome. Jamal's one of the people that I work with, and he had trained to where he's doing a new program, and even though it's base training, he's got some workouts in there, and he had gotten to the point where he was a little tired and so forth. So he took a rest week before the plan called for it or something like that. I hope I don't have it backwards. And then I told him, I said, it's okay, because he rested when he was tired. And that's the key. You got to listen to yourself. You make a plan and then life happens. So he had done a lot of weeks of hard work, and then he just got to a week where he was tired. So he took the rest week. And so he asked me, he says, should I stick with, you know, because the plan said week 8, and I think he took the week out of 6 or 7 as a rest week. And I told him, no, just continue the next week with the same workout that you missed, you know, or you should have done in that week, because you rest when you're tired. There's no point in trying to work out hard when you're tired, because you just drive yourself down, and then your morale and everything goes down. So if you listen to yourself, you're not feeling great, take it easy. Even if you go ride with your mates and you're not feeling great, that's not the day to be pulling or whatever. You just sit in, you know, just sit in and enjoy the ride. If you're just feeling so bad you can't even stay with them, then you tell them goodbye and shorten your ride and do something else. You know, ride slower or find people who are going slower. Always be willing to make changes when you head out. That way you'll enjoy it. It's not a job. It's supposed to be fun. Let's see here. I'll check. Don't kill too much time. Yeah, that's fine, Jeffrey. I will look myself because I know I made one. I will make a note. I know I talked about it. I remember talking about how to get the jerseys to pop. And if I didn't, then I'll make a video. It's not a problem. Let's see here. So yeah, I'll make a note here. Find video on. And I've got your email. When I find it, I will send it to you. Since you're on Patreon, I can contact you. That's one of your other perks. Video on kit creation. Let's see. I know I did one either in a group ride or a prologue or something. I'll find it and get it to you. Verdell says a nice, yeah, we like the kit is very popular and it's unique. The kit, what happened, Verdell, is the kit design comes from the mural of our videos when it start, that mural. I just sent a picture, like a JPEG or a vectorized picture to Santini's designers. And the idea was, see what you can do with this. And they sent us 3 choices and we chose that one. So that's our thing. And that's why we're not going to change it, because it represents the channel. And that was his take, one of his takes on our mural. So it's very unique. You're not going to see it anywhere else. And so it's in Santini's database. We ordered gloves as well. We have gloves, and we're going to get hats, but we got to get like 200 hats. And that was it 200? And it was a large number, because they buy the blanks, what they call the blanks, the caps, in large quantities. And once they print it, it's for you. They're not going to split it, you know. So you got to buy a large number to get the cap. But we'll get that. So there's a lot of things we're going to get with those designs on them. We've got arm warmers, leg warmers, a Santini design. You've probably seen some of it. It's on the web store as well. Those we have some in stock. And let's see, we got the gloves in different lengths. You know, we're going to have to order some more because some of the sizes are selling out. So yeah, I really like the kit. We wear the kit mostly. Our kit is like for warm weather. You know, we didn't get the jackets and the other stuff. Maybe we'll get them later. So that's why you're not seeing it much, because it's cold now. But when it gets around late spring, summer, we wear them once a month. And then we wear them when we go to events like Grand Fundos and stuff to represent Veloharmony. And we've had people all over the world that have ordered samples of the kit. So it's really neat to have that. All right. Let's see here. Paul is congratulating Chris. He said, I can't believe I won something I never win. It's kind of like odds. What happened is, even though we went through that spiel about everybody putting their address in there, I went and looked. There's quite a few people don't have addresses in there. So they don't even get picked. The program does not even pick those people that don't have addresses. So, you know, I sent out a note to the people who did not have addresses, I believe last night, to just let them know, if you want to participate, update your shipping address, whether PO box or whatever. So I didn't send them to people who have already updated. I kind of like that feature. And those of you, Eric Nell, you were one of those that asked. I will get to your comment in a little bit. Patreon sent me in the process. They enabled our account now for new people that are signing up. They'll be eligible right away. Those of you who already signed up, though, you cannot. You're kind of grandfathered in. But they have a feature of charging people up front when they sign up. They never enabled it on my account. And so when I send that information, they told me to work offline through my website. Somebody else sent me an email that walked me through how to set it up. They provided the ability, almost like they enabled it on my account. So I've set it up to where new patrons will be charged right away and they can start taking part in their rewards. Because I think another person, Nico, was somebody else who wanted to be in there right away when he signed up for something. He wanted to do bike fit or something. He wanted his discounts and that kind of stuff. So those of you who are on Patreon that haven't been there, what I may do, I need to send, I don't know if they send new, I send them an email to find out if they send when I make changes to the benefits, because there's a lot of new things I've rolled out. What I may do is send an email to all of you guys, letting you know what's out there and so forth. But if you're going to buy anything on the store and you don't have your code, you need to send an email to customer services at Veloharmony so I can send you a code, because the discounts are significant for those of you who are patrons. All right, let's see here. Eric Nell, I moved my seat back as far as it can go. Verdell says, I was really hoping that you would switch to Rafa for your kits. That's a good point, Verdell, but we've talked about it. Paul and I have talked about it. Rafa does have the custom option, and maybe that's something we can do later. The Rafa stuff is just so pricey. So it's going to be like close to $200 and some dollars. I don't know what they'll price it at, because if we were to do that, I would want something that you could probably wear a base layer with if you're in a cooler area. But for those in a warmer area like Florida and here or Asia, I would want the light, like the flyweight or the lightweight kind of thing. And they're starting close to a couple of $100 a jersey or a little more. I don't know how that will fly, but it is an idea we are thinking about, because Rafa does allow you to basically do your own design. They rolled out the custom stuff a little while ago, and then recently I received an email from them that said you can go to their site and actually start the design of your jersey. So, you know, maybe down the road we'll look into it. I want something that will be around 145, 150. I mean, once you start getting too high, it gets too exclusive. I want everybody to be able to get the kit. So let's see here. Eric said, I moved my seat back as far as it can go, but still can't unweight my hands. Can raising the saddle help with this, or is it just based on saddle 4 or possibly a weak core? It's not your core. It's kind of like you're sitting on a couch. Your core has nothing to do with it. You need to be in the right spot. And what it sounds like is you don't have your weight properly on your pelvis and your legs. And, you know, I don't know what your fit is. I don't know what you've done. I don't know who set up your fit. So you have two options. You go see a fitter. Otherwise, you'll be fitting with this stuff because you're not sure which direction to go. Now, I believe you are in our, let me pull you up. You are. I mean, you sound like you're somebody who likes to DIY, which is fine. I like that feeling of accomplishment and all of that. That's great. I've been there, done that. So what I'm going to see here is I believe you're in Patreon here at the level where you just probably haven't taken care of. You have not been processed yet. Okay, the level you're at, you have access to, let's see. You can probably, you can send a video in. So you're going to hit in 2 weeks, it's going to process you. And then you can send a video on your side and I'll be able to see you writing. I'm sure you saw that at your level where you are in that tier. The cup, let's see, you're in Lioness, I believe. Yeah. So, I mean, you can either do that or you can go to Veloharmony and do that instant donation. So you're thinking kicking now, and then you can send me the video of yourself. And if you want to do that, send an email to customerservices@veloharmony.com so that I can set up a drive for you so you can dump a video in there so you don't have to rush with the video. It can be as long as you want. And then you just upload it to a Google Drive that will set up in your name. I need to see you writing and see what's going on. That way you can talk and everything. Just use your phone, but film yourself from the side because I see more from the side. Let's start with that because you get that for free once you've signed up. You were one of those guys that were grandfathered in, so you didn't get processed. And I think, so yeah, why don't you do that, Eric, so we can get started looking at what you're having problems with, because the numbness will just continue the longer you ride. You'll just be uncomfortable. So Chris agreed with Verdel's thing about Rafa. Yeah, I mean, we'll look into that. I mean, it's just maybe I can find out what they will charge for the whatever, like the flyweight or lightweight, whatever we decide to go with. I want something light because if you need something warmer, you can just put a base layer underneath. But those of us who are in warmer climates then, because it's warmer here a lot of the year. So we want something that's breathable, but that way it's more flexible to get a lighter jersey that you can put base layer on or something. So we'll see. We'll find out. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to sign it. I got to stretch it. I got to get somebody to stretch. You got to stretch. When you sign in fabric, you want it stretched so that you can really write freely. Otherwise, it grabs I use these, what do they call them? The Sharpie. They're the best things for them. It grabs them if you don't have that jersey stretched really well. And it doesn't look too good. Let's see here. Jeffrey Davids. Hey, Jeffrey. He said we look good on the last video. That last video was funny. It was like I didn't think we'd get much footage. It ended up turning out pretty good. Gerard Moonen, do your cycling mates know you're consistently critiquing them? Not all people like that, I can imagine. Yeah, well, that's a good point. But yeah, they know I'm critiquing them. There's quite a few of them that watched the video. In fact, that's a very good question. In fact, there was a guy named Randy who I critiqued on a ride where we paid. It was a paid ride, Heroes ride. Randy was riding like a squirrel. And he actually ended up appreciating it. The people who follow all the videos here heard him on another ride using the byline, you know, welcomes, hello, super legends and legends and so forth. And what he was saying was he liked hearing Randy, hold your line or whatever. That's what I was using in the narration. And in fact, because of that, on that particular video where he was talking about my critique, I noticed he was holding a smooth, straight line. It turned out he simply did not know. And you see, this is the thing. A lot of people look down on you when you're doing something wrong, but they don't say anything. You know, you guys been there. You're inexperienced. You show up at the rides, and everybody hoity-toity, but they don't give you any suggestions or tips that will help you. So what I do when I do the critique, yeah, sometimes it may not, it's not personal. I'm pointing out things that they're doing. They don't seem to mind. And the way I'm doing it, I always say it's a teaching moment and so forth. It's really for the people watching the video more so than the characters during the ride. There's quite a few of the characters, Gerard, that don't watch those videos. So what happens? Every week they do the same thing. So I don't harp on it every week. We get a situation like this week. I explain how the efforts are misplaced. What we do is like you saw in the last video, they were wasting so much time. We wasted 45 minutes waiting for people who are pulling and then getting dropped. And Paul and I just made an executive decision like, sorry, guys, we're just going to take off. We have to go. And so we just changed our route and rode off and went. Otherwise, we would have been there till 3 in the afternoon because we were doing a 6-hour ride. They weren't. So you end up going with people who are going a shorter distance, but you use up hours that could have had you do more kilometers because you're waiting, because they're making those kind of mistakes. And that's what I mean. It's unfortunate that I've made so many videos with not just them, other groups, but they still continue every week to do the same thing because they're not watching the videos. And the people who watch the videos don't discuss it with them, Gerard. It's clear because they don't come to me and ask me, you know, what did you mean? Other than Randy saying that he appreciated that and I saw him benefit from it on another ride, the rest of them, they're not really watching the video. You guys are all over the world watching Veloharmony. They're right here with us, not watching it. So they're not learning and they just don't know. And somebody on the channel put a comment in there. I think it was Davide Brunati. He said, oh, you should be coaching teams or whatever. And I just told him, I said, they are just not aware. They really don't know. They don't think they're doing anything wrong. They think they've got it figured. Honestly, guys, that's it. They don't know. And that's just the way it is. Nobody comes around to teach everybody tactics and whatever else. Because a lot of the guys didn't necessarily compete or whatever. They just like riding bikes. And that's fine. And so they ride for years, not really understanding what I call the nuances of the sport. So I do the videos for the channel. And if somebody gets their feelings hurt, oh, well, sorry, but life goes on. I don't really worry about it that much. I don't try to disparage anybody. I just try to point out things that they're doing. And I tell people, when you're riding, don't do that. You know, don't copy that. That's the thing. So I try not to make it personal. Michael Fernandez, still having issues trying to get the address on Patreon. They should be able to help you. I mean, I know Chris got his address in there. Nico got his address in there. Eric got an address in there. Let's see. We got a bunch of people. We got a new legend here. I got to shout out to Corey Schultz. I don't know if he's here. He got his address in there. And then Dunbar got an address in there. John Dunbar. Craig. I think Craig is the guy who calls himself Sent. Let's see. Marcus Chestnut got an address in there. Jamal Griffith got his address in there. Now, Randy right here with us doesn't have his address. I sent an email to them. He's one of the people I sent it to. I'm not sure why you're having a problem. Did you? Hopefully you sent them an email. They're pretty good at responding. They're pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, Eric said he'll do. Yeah, Eric, do the video. Once your thing kick in on Patreon, we'll get you sorted and look at to see what's going on, to find out what you need. Then what we can do for you is, if we need to do the remote fit, just get you to get a discounted one or something like that. We'll work it out. Just get the video made so you're ready to send it. And you can talk during the video if you want to, or you can send an email when you send it. But I like it when you talk during the video. You can tell me what you're experiencing. Let's see here. I hope I answered your question, Gerard. I'll try to make it personal, and I haven't had anybody have a problem with it. If they do, I would just tell them what I just told you. And if they don't like it, not much I can do about it. So here we go. Sean Jackman, I'm training to ride a 150 mile in September. Do you have any recommendations and or guidance? It's hard to give you a recommendation. I don't know what you've been doing, so I'll start there. I'm not sure what your longest rides have been at this point. So you want to kind of make sure you're riding frequently, and you need to, whatever day that event will be on, you need to do the number of hours you think it will take you to do that event long before the event. That way you can really do it well. Like we trained the month of December, we increased our mileage. Even Christian was asking, he said, it's the winter, why are you riding so much? And I told him we're preparing for the festive 500. So start about 4 weeks or so out and start mimicking on the day the event. If it's a Saturday or a Sunday, on that day, try increasing your hours to where you're doing the number of hours you think it will take you to do the event, or at least half the number of hours. And if you can ride with a group, you will cover more ground. It'll be more fun too. So, but if you need specific training, workouts, and so forth, you can look on the website under cycling services. There's some training plans in there. And the 12-week plan might work for you because you're doing this. Let's see how much time you have. In September, okay, you've got plenty of time. Since I don't know where you are and what kind of base you have, you really need to start preparing now to where you can do stuff like that on a regular basis. Then when you go to that event, you'll be able to ramp it up and have even more fun and do it faster, So if you're training now, or if you haven't been training and you've been off for a while, you start with base training and go from there. So you get one of those training plans. That's a good thing to keep you motivated and kind of guide you. Let's see. Muna says he jumped the question. So if both of you are preparing for something, if you're more than 12 weeks out, then get one of those training plans. That's why I built those and put them out there. A lot of people have asked. You're not the first or the second. So go to the Veloharmony.com under the cycling services, look at the training plans and take the 12-week plan, especially for the guy who's September, and start building up from there. Because you need to get out and get hours in your legs. All right. Let's see here. I had an argument. Mina said I had an argument with my friend. The argument was all about cycling and running training. Do you gain a lot? And tell me the difference between cycling and running. They're completely different disciplines, every sport is specific. So if you want to do well in cycling, you have to cycle. Now, you can run and build a general base fitness, but to take it to the next level, you got to get on the bike. That's why that's what led to triathlons. There are a lot of people that used to run and then started cycling, and then they threw in swimming and so forth. And so the people that participate in those events, they literally have to do those events in training. You can't say, oh, I'm going to run only and then get on the bike and be fast. It doesn't work like that. You have to train the muscles specifically in those sports. So they don't compare. There's a lot of pounding. Running is an impact sport. So cycling is a non-impact sport. So cycling can be done longer with less damage to you, especially if you're fitted and so forth, than running. You have to be real careful with running and listen to your connective tissues. You have to gradually build up your ability to handle that. And there are a lot of people who started running and got into cycling because of all the injuries from running, all the pounding, running on hard surfaces and so forth. And then some people don't have problems with it. They just, they run fine. So they're completely two different sports. They're both endurance sports, aerobic sports. Running, you have sprinting and running, you have sprinting and cycling. So cycling is aerobic, just like running, but there are anaerobic efforts involved when you sprint or go up a hill in a large gear and so forth. Same thing with running. At the end of the race, if you're trying to get to the finish line and running, you got to be able to have some extra kick, So they're just different, there's no point in having an argument over the two sports. I don't know what you guys are arguing about. It's just a matter of what you want to do. I've done both, and I got into cycling because of injuries from running a lot. I get a lot of shin splints when I run a lot, and that's how I got into cycling. So it's a good sport. You can get fit with running with less time than cycling, because cycling, you can be sitting on the bike, getting pushed along by the wind and not working hard if you're not focused. Running, just because you're moving, you can get a good workout in a short period of time. I think even Lance runs, and he said he can do a 1 hour run or whatever instead of doing 3 hours on the bike. Something like that. I've read some article he wrote. So, yeah. There's no point in arguing. I don't know what you guys were arguing about as to which is better, which you gain a lot or whatever. No, it's different. You want to be a good cyclist, you got to ride the bike because there's a lot of skill involved in handling the bike. You want to be a good runner, you got to run because you got to condition your body for that particular exercise. So your threshold in running will be different than your threshold in cycling. Completely different. All right, let's see here. Philip said that's why he rides alone. I do a lot of solo rides myself. I just did one. Sometimes you do have to ride. I think you're talking about the wasted time. We actually literally had a discussion about that because look at it this way. I start my day at 5:30. I think Paul starts his maybe 4 or even earlier. Why would I go wait for somebody? I've been up since 5:30 in the morning. At 7:30, I showed up at your start place. We hang around for 7 to 10 minutes. Sometimes we have to prod them to go. You guys see the intro video stuff when we're in the parking lot. So let's say we waste 10 minutes there. Go, we ride from here. It's about 35 minutes comfortably to meet them. And then we wait around for about 10 minutes, let's say. Then we go. Okay. So if somebody comes with a mechanical, that's any kind of group ride that got issues. Now, back in the day when we competed, they had what they call open rides where nobody cared if you had a mechanical. You'd have like 50 or 75 people show up at a public place like a park or whatever. It's just a ride. It's not like Team RR where the guys know each other really well. At those open rides, a few people know each other really well, but it's just open to the public. At an open ride, you better have your repair and all that stuff self-sufficient because you have a problem, they're not waiting. The group just goes. And a lot of those open rides were racers that just wanted to get a workout. So they come out, they're very stingy with time. Because, cycling time is precious, period. So, yeah. So it's the same mentality. It's kind of like, I don't mind if somebody comes and they have a flat. You wait to fix the flat. But it's similar to what this, I think it was Gerard that said, my critique. Think about it. If every week a rider is taking long pulls, and after he or she pulls, they get dropped, and you have to wait for them, would you continue doing that? Why are you pulling? That's the first thing we were taught. You get to a group, your goal, the first goal should be, I want to finish with this group. So if the group is fast for you, you sit in, you work hard. Because let's say, like the first time I started cycling, I could hang on to the group fine, no problem. But if I took long pulls and they attacked, I might end up in like group C or D or whatever. So in my mind, I was like, I want to be in group A. So the first thing nobody had to tell me to not pull to stay in group A. So what I knew right away was don't take any pulls. So when group A guys would go, I would use the energy I would have used to pull to go with group A. So I ended up being in the first group now instead of in group C or D, like when I had pulled. No one had to tell me that. So in my mind, I'm like, why can't they get that? So why should I continue to wait 5 or 10 minutes on the side of a highway because you took a monster pull into the wind and now we can't even see you? Because that's what happened on Saturday. We couldn't even see him after he took the pole, and we rode for maybe, I guess, 10 kilometers, maybe 6 or 7 miles, and they were going to wait again. That was the third time we would have been waiting. The first time was when they said, let's wait on that highway. You saw that on the tape. And I said, Paul asked me, and I said, let's go. You didn't hear me say, but he heard me because the camera wasn't close. And that's why in the tape, as we turned on the highway, Michael with the light green arm warmers waved me over. He didn't need to. I was going. I wasn't waiting because this guy does it all the time. So my logic is they have to learn trial by fire somehow. If they want to stay with you, they got to figure out what they're doing that's causing them not to. Because they haven't come to even ask to say, what am I doing wrong or whatever? Because like I told you guys, I don't go to the rides to teach cycling. I just go to ride. The people who approach me and they have a question, no problem. I'll answer, point them in the right direction, even suggest a channel like Randy. Randy's here watching the channel like you guys. So I don't go to teach. But these guys are doing the same thing. So my logic, if you continue waiting for, it's kind of like a kid. If the kid continues to do something you don't like and you don't make a correction, they're not going to know. They're going to continue to do that. So he has to decide whether he wants to stay with the group. So if you leave him out on the highway a few times, I think he will get the message. But it doesn't seem to be connecting. So I just had to get home at a decent hour. I mean, I leave here at 5:30, 6:45. We're clipping in. From 6:45 to like 11:45, we're out there. And we had not even covered what we needed to cover because we wasted 45 minutes. Because when I get home and I load stuff on Strava, what I look at is elapsed time and moving time. We wasted 45 minutes on Saturday. That's precious 45 minutes I could have been riding. That's the way I look at it. So we have to manage that. Instead of being upset about what they're doing, we have to decide, okay, we're not going to wait. We're just going to keep moving. And that's what the other group does. More of them don't wait around. They don't wait around. They just keep going. Or they'll tell you, oh, where are you guys going? Okay, we'll hook up with you over there. So they'll go and do another big loop while you're sitting at the store. And then they'll hook up with you when you start going on. That's what they do sometimes, just, to ride together. And that's the same stuff we did. So instead of going to the store right away, we took a wider loop before we came to the store. So they'd already been sitting there for a while. But I'd much rather be moving when I get out there. I want my moving time. I want my hours on the road to count for cycling. When I ride solo, I might have 2:57 moving time, 3 hours elapsed. If the lights favor, that's what I mean. So yeah, don't let them waste your time. Your time is precious because you end up spending too many hours and you have problems at home. Your significant other say, oh, you've gone too long or whatever. No, if I'm going to be gone for 4 hours, I need to be riding most of it. So let's see here. Jeffrey says solo rider, but I'm going to start riding. Jeffrey, I think it's good to ride with other cyclists. You need to get comfortable riding because when you go to grand funders and other events, there's going to be people around. You need to get comfortable with that. I think it enhances your cycling. I don't want this to sound like a negative thing about groups. You just have to decide how much time you're going to invest with a group. If they're just hanging around not riding, then you take off. And when they're riding, and that, and they're going to pick up on that because when they're riding, we're there, we're great. They want to hang around. And the funny thing about it is the guy in green who was at the front when we started the ride was getting cold. They were waiting so frequently, he was getting cold. Because, he's riding, his pores open, and then we're out there in ag country, unprotected, wind everywhere. He was getting cold at one of the stops. He's like, it's getting cold. His brother got tired of waiting and took off. So we're not the only one. I'm just letting you guys know. It just took off. Didn't say a word, just left. And so then we were the second, Paul and I left. So you have to do that. You can't let them waste your cycling time. That's the way you must look at it. And so you got to get with groups that are going to do that. Now, they don't do it all the time, but they're not, the leader of their group is not informing those guys that, hey guys, don't pull so we can all stay. See, they're not thinking like that. They're not saying, okay, let's back off the pace so everybody can hang on, as opposed to going so hard, dropping people, then waiting. That's what they do. They just ride. And that's what makes them fun to me, in a way, because they do crazy stuff, so everybody likes to see them. But they don't think about the caboose. So they drop the caboose, and then they go down the road and wait for 7 minutes. So I'm like, in my mind, that doesn't make sense. Drop the pace, stay at the front longer, So the slowest guy can hang on. That means you will get a better workout because you're at the front longer. That's the way I think. So they're just doing it the way they know. And that's okay. There's no wrong way. And I say that in the video. It's not a wrong or right. It's just that we're not going to be hanging out, standing around. We want to be moving. I want to be riding when I'm out there. So yeah. So don't think that all groups are like that. And if you find a group that's like that, what you want to do is just make sure you maximize. If they're waiting and you can do a loop, because it's always fun to sit in a group. You cover more ground in the draft. You work harder generally. They motivate you. So there's a lot of positives. That's why we ride up there. That's why I leave here at 6:45 in the morning to go there on Saturday to get with them, But then that's it on Saturday. Sunday, I rode by myself. I just went out solo. I might have wasted 3 minutes for the whole ride. I did 4 hours solo, just went out. It was very cold. I just headed out. They were riding. I just didn't want to hook up with them. So yeah, there are times I'm in the mood just to do solo. But you need to sprinkle some group rides in there because it matters. It enhances your cycling. All right, let's go on here. Barnaby from Portugal, how are you? Welcome. Longest ride is 100 miles. Well, good, Sean. Freedom Cycles. Let's see here. Brennan, go. Yeah, I was going to say that I'm going to be making some additional premium videos for your Patreon guys. I'll be loading one at the end of the month on verifying your saddle height, an easy way to do that. So that should help guys like Eric and so forth when I start working with it. I've worked with people on Remote Fit and what I do, what I learned, the challenges they have when I'm explaining things. I make a video about it and I put it on Patreon. So when they sign up for Remote Fit, they have access to that premium video. So those things will help you nail down the things that people miss. Let's see here. Can you talk about mile leg length discrepancies and whether you recommend a shim or offsetting the cleats on the shoes? You can't offset the cleats for a leg length discrepancy. A discrepancy is like one leg is here and this is here, let's say, or whatever. So you need to make up the difference from the short one. So you use a shim. You can use a shim. Some people use a shim outside, like under the cleat, or some people use a shim inside the shoe. So you need to, first of all, determine what the discrepancy is, what it measures at, what is a centimeter or millimeters. A lot of it is usually pretty close. And then you get a shim that will make up for that difference because you're going to set the saddle height for the longest leg. And so you need to accommodate the shorter leg. That for your seat height. And once you get that, then everything else becomes a standard fit. Because when you have a leg length discrepancy, we don't consider it to be a standard fit because we have to measure you and determine what the offset is. So yeah, the cleat's not going to make up for it. The cleat puts you in the proper position as far as foreaft where your foot wants to be in the shoe you're using. And I always stress that make sure that shoe mates with your foot very well. If you have no arch and you get a shoe that has high arch, then you will need a footbed to work with that. So it's best to start with a shoe that fits the shape of your foot naturally. And a lot of the manufacturers now are giving you things that you can heat up in the oven and so forth, So somebody just did a super chat. Oh, who's that? A new member? Ben. Hey, Ben. Ben says, love the channel. I've been meaning to ride in a group, but I'm getting intimidated sometimes since I'm new to cycling. Well, you're in the right place, Ben. That's why we have this playlist here, Ben. I don't know how many videos we got in there now. Our group rides. And you're here, so you've seen them. But don't just look at today's group ride. The old stuff, tons of information. That's the reason I take the time. It's very time intensive to narrate, edit. We don't just dump video on here. So I'm going to put the playlist on here. But if you go to the channel page, it's arranged very sequentially, like phase 1 in cycling. When you start cycling, this is what we recommend, bike fit, so forth and so on. It's all there. But what I'm going to do here is just put this. Let's say you're doing something in the house and you just run this. Now, the channel also is on iTunes podcast. So you can even listen to stuff. if you want to. And listening to the group ride narration, you will learn a lot. But you also really want to see, because that's the reason I do the group ride as opposed to standing in the studio and telling you about stuff. So let me do this. Let me just put the link here to group ride cycling for you, Ben. Start with that. The group ride cycling video will teach you all the little things that nobody puts in a book very well. But I don't only talk about it, you see it happening, and I explain why. So if you've seen any of the group rides, you don't need to be intimidated. All the stuff you heard me talking about, the reason why I spent a lot of time talking about it, I didn't want people to think group rides are bad. I just wanted people to know that you need to decide, make an executive decision for you, how you're going to deal with each group, because you're dealing with people. And whenever you deal with people, you have to decide what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. That's all it is. But it's fun. It's more fun to ride with other cyclists. And then, whenever you get around people, some people rub you the wrong way, some people don't. And, that's just the way it is in any social group. Don't be intimidated because you're new to cycling, you're on this channel. What's going to happen in a very short time? You're going to know more than most of the cyclists out there, even though they're strong. I shouldn't say most. Well, yeah, I guess it's fair to say that. There's quite a few cyclists that ride for a lot of years and don't understand the things we discuss here. Like we're talking about, pacing and knowing when to go hard and whatever. So you're going to be armed with information I did not have when I started cycling. That's why we do this channel. So you can say you're new to cycling, but you're in the right place. You're not new anymore. You're ahead of the game, because there's a lot of guys we've been riding for years. A lot of stuff we talk about here, not aware. The stuff that we're showing, the last video we were just talking about, those guys been riding for a long time. Some of them need a bike fit so bad. They're riding their bike and they look like this. And I'm like, man, that's got to be uncomfortable at the end of the day. All the follicles that you're rubbing, all that friction. They got, saddle sores, and that's where they come from. So just know that you're really ahead of the game. You're a student of the game. So don't consider yourself new anymore. You're in the right place. Get in the archives, educate yourself. And if you have questions, just put them under the videos. I answer the questions, or I will direct you, and then you're here on the live feed. We just started doing this a short while ago, and it seems to be very popular. So yeah, so don't call yourself new anymore. You being here, you're not new anymore. All right, let me see. I'm going to scroll back, and I'll come back to some of these here. Okay. Just scrolling some of the conversations the guys are having. Eric said, hey, Michael, as far as I know, because they're chatting. Have you ever tried any other cycling discipline, cyclocross, mountain bike? Jeff Harper. Yeah, I did mountain biking for a while. I did more crashing than anything. Yeah, I was always running into rocks and tree roots, That's when I lived in Austin, Texas. It's a big cycling scene there. I did my master's in Austin at UT. Yeah, I got a lot of handling skills from mountain bike. I took a lot of chances, not because of mountain biking. It's just that, I just loved it. I loved the single track stuff, But some of the trails in Austin, the rocks and the trees. And so you got to be extra careful. Yeah, I liked it. It was a lot of fun. You don't have to deal with cars, But I just like the road. I've always liked the road. But yeah, mountain biking gave me the handling that I needed when I used to compete. Yeah, you get a lot of people that come to compete and they're not very good. So a lot of bumping going on. You need to be comfortable being bumped on the bike. And that's where I got those skills from. Yeah. Mountain biking is pretty big in Austin. There's a lot of stuff. Lance used to do mountain bike races in the off season. His coach used to scold him when he should be getting ready for the tour. He'd be doing mountain bike races. The coach, he said, Coach would call and say, what are you doing? Yeah, it's pretty big. It's fun. I liked it. I haven't done any cyclocross. Just mountain bike. I think Christian does cyclocross. Christian has a mountain bike, and I think he rides his mountain bike to do cyclocross races in the area here. So Jeffrey says he's doing first Grand Fondo in April. Well, cool. Yeah, just get the distance down. Know how long it's going to take you to do that, and just train for that before April so you're comfortable with the distance. Then when you go, you'll have more fun. Let's see. Philip McGlathery said, I used to ride with groups, but like you said, they wasted my time and were too dangerous. Okay. The group we're riding with, they're not dangerous. Yes, if they're not aware of safety, let's say if they're riding to where they're riding dangerously and so forth, then yeah, you want to find another group. There are a lot of groups out there. These guys that we ride, we had another group that was kind of dangerous that we used to ride with. You know, they were a little kamikaze, but they didn't want more challenges. We like riding with these guys because Paul and I fell in love with riding on the north side. After we started, those of you who've been here for a while, we started riding out there. We'll drive our car out there, then ride to like Huntsville and BDS and Shiro, a different place. We fell in love with the area. And then we came across these guys. I was coming home one day. They'd asked me for years to join them on a ride. And I've always been hesitant because of the issues with group ride, like you said. And so went out there last summer, June, and just started checking it out. Paul, I believe, was out of town when I started. Something was going on with him. I think it was not well because a few weeks later, then he started coming out with us. But I like riding with them because they don't what's the word? They don't refrain from challenges. They'll go out, you know, like when we go out and say, oh, we're going to go do the forest. And they were planning to do 50. The forest means 30 more miles, 50 kilometers more. They'll say, oh, yeah, we'll go to the forest. There's always a few people that say, yeah, we'll go to the forest with you. So we like that about the group. But, nothing's perfect. And there are always a few people in the group that are doing it. It's not the whole group that has the issue, like any social group. There are a few people that are doing it, but it's not my group. So it's not my place to go tell somebody, hey, you need to stop pulling because you're getting dropped and you're causing us to wait. I don't think it's my place. I think it's the leader of the group that should say, look, man, we had to wait for you for 7 minutes. How about if you don't pull that long or not at all? So we don't have to wait. I think the leader of the group should do that. And so since that's not being done because the leader of the group actually does the same stuff. We showed you a video with Scott. He's the leader of the group. He's one of the leaders. And he does the same thing. So they just don't know. And that's fine. I think it's okay. I don't want to spoil their fun. And so what I do on these videos is just to tell guys like Ben and the rest of you, when you're riding, don't do that. Don't pull and then get dropped. Because what's your goal? Your goal is to ride with these guys, not to have them wait for you. So yeah, that's all that's about. I'm not saying anything to those guys. They start wasting time like we did on Saturday, we just take off. We know what we want to do. That way everybody's happy. I'm not persona non grata. I don't want to show up like the warlock from the bad guy showing up. Oh yeah, he's here again. He's going to be bitching at us. No, that's not cool. That's their group. That's what they do. So we hook on, we ride. They ride hard when they ride. And so when they start faltering because they did not do it right, what we do is we keep going. You guys saw that. We hold the group pace. And so hopefully they'll pick up on it. That's all it is. It makes for good teaching material for the channel because they're not the only one doing that. So you guys get to see what you're going to experience out there. And I love that about them. So no, I don't want to change the group. The people who want to learn like Randy, they're here watching the videos. They'll pick up on it or they'll come to us and then we'll discuss with that. But I'm not going to go and start bothering people. No, that's not cool. So I just want you guys to know we're not going to stop riding with them. It's not a problem for us. We ride with them. We get some good clips and then we take off and go do our stuff, And if we know where they're going, we'll do an extra loop and then hook up with them on the way back after they've been waiting. That's what the other group does. We saw them do that. So yeah. And the other group, Mo has a few people that do something similar too. They just, so he finds a way to deal with that too. No group is perfect. So you don't want to be the bad guy ruining people's fun. Saturday is fun. Cycling's fun. It's not a job. So let's see here. Have you ever tried any other? Yeah, I've read that. For a cyclist who is not racing, this is Jason Hinton. For a cyclist who is not racing, are carbon sole shoes necessary? What should I look for in a cycling shoe? Okay. I had a carbon sole shoe before I started racing, so I'm going to start from there. A carbon sole shoe is not only for racers. then I'm going to go back to, I'll start with sneakers. You can ride a bike, let's say with flat pedals and a sneaker, but you won't be as efficient. You won't be able to pull up fast cadences. As you start to ride more, you kind of want to be able to get efficient. You want to clip in. Clipping in is good and so forth. And I think you're already clipping in. Your concern is, do I have to have carbon sole shoes? You have options. You can use the shoes that are used in mountain biking or cyclocross. We have riders that do. They use the mountain bike cleats on road bikes because they like the shoe that it comes with, because they can walk easier in them than the carbon shoes. So yeah, you don't have to have carbon sole shoes. Personally, I prefer them. I think they're more efficient for road riding. So that's what I use. If I were when I used to do mountain bike, I had mountain bike shoes for the mountain bike. And then when I would get on my road bike, I had shoes for the road bike. Some riders will use the same pedals on the road bike and their mountain bike. So they got one system to deal with. I wasn't one of them. I just preferred it. I competed in carbon sole shoes. So I got used to that. And I just saw the benefit. It is more efficient. You may walk funny, but now with the Shimano SPD SL cleats, the walking is not an issue. And even I think the Look cleats have got some kind of rubber on them now. So it's not that big a deal. But when you're riding, they're just so much more efficient for riding, for accelerating when you're clipped in and all of that. Now, doesn't mean the mountain bike shoes can't do the same thing, because they've got a good size mountain bike pedal, not the tiny one that uses those small SPD stuff necessarily, because Alan uses a slightly bigger one. So you don't have to have carbon sole shoes. I think they're more efficient, but you can use mountain bike shoes. Just don't use sneakers, because the cushion in the sneakers robs your transfer of energy to the pedals. All that cushioning, it's not efficient. That's the only thing. Let's see here. John Bailey, riding smart to stay with a fast group is part of the fun of cycling. Yeah, John pretty much summed up what I've been saying. They don't get that, John. They don't realize that. They don't use their heads. And I guess maybe it has to do with their background. When I was competing, you had to, you go to a race, and the first race I did, I was dropped and pulled off the course because I was lapped. They pull you off, So my goal was, number one goal, stay with the group. Do whatever it takes to stay with the group. And then you learn. Then you start moving up through the group. Then you're taking polls. And before you know it, I was in the breakaway in 6 weeks because I really worked hard at it. So that's just a natural progression. A lot of these guys just ride bikes. They never competed or anything. They do grand fondos and whatever. And it's fun for them. And that's what they know. And that's why I don't intrude. I don't say anything. I just make the decisions necessary for me. And I like that. It gives me something to show you guys, because it happens. Even in a race, there are racers that make a move at the wrong moment, and then somebody else counterattacks and they can't respond or whatever, So yeah, so it's just good. It's good to see that pacing is important. And it's all about timing. Even when you're running, you watch those runners in the marathons. They will run together for a while, and then all of a sudden, one or two start sneaking away or whatever. They don't just blast away from the beginning. And some of them that do, you see them get past later. That's just, pacing is key, man. It's just anything you do is fun. But you're right. You have to ride with your head. There's a phrase the French use that call, I think, tête et jambes, head and legs. You can't just ride. You got to think. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a grand fondo, group ride, whatever. Use your head. Listen to your body. You're feeling crappy. That's not the time to be a hero. Eat, drink, whatever, slow down so you can feel good later. Because some of the rides are 3-4 hours long. You might feel crappy the first hour and feel better later. There's a lot of champions. One of the guys I followed, Greg LeMond, he won a race where he said the first hour he was going to quit the race. And he hung in there, and ended up winning the race. It was a long race. Their races are 4 to 6 hours, But he ended up winning the race, a race that he started feeling crappy enough to where he might have quit. And the logic is in his book, and the logic he was using was, you never know how you're going to feel, so you have to adapt and adjust. Don't say, oh, I'm feeling great today before you get on the bike, and then you get out there, I got to be at the front. No, you don't. I mean, nothing, And last Thursday I was riding. Mo came up on me. Mo's very fast, and we rode together for a little bit, just spinning. And it was some of the stuff we're talking about. And he was saying that he tells people all the time, it's not just Team RR guys, people in Mo's group. And so he's telling me, he said there were a couple of people that showed up that he didn't know, and they were going the same overpass you guys see all the time. They were on their ride, and it wasn't a ride we were on. They were on their ride. He said it started the overpass, and this couple, it was a guy and a girl that he didn't know. They blasted past the whole group over the overpass. And so in his mind, he was like, I wonder if they realized a long ride. And his phrase was, what he said was, on the return, he said they didn't just hit a wall, they hit a Chinese wall. I don't know what he meant by that, but the way he said it, you had to be there. I couldn't help laughing. They hit a Chinese wall, whatever that meant, meaning poof. And he was like, we're not waiting. And they poured it on. He said, they're going to learn. That's the same thing. Now, he didn't say anything to them. The group so they came home by themselves. Guaranteed the next time they go to that ride, they're not going to do the same thing. Sometimes that's how you learn. And that's what he was talking about. We laughed about it. I don't know how we got on the topic, but I wanted you guys to know that it happens at all levels. And you don't want to be the bad guy bugging everybody. Oh, do this and don't do that. No. So the stuff I narrate here is just for the narration to show people who haven't seen it. I don't bother those guys on the ride. I just ride. They're going to learn when they see. And you guys saw that on that film last week, Saturday. We just rode. And the very people that were killing themselves on the hill, we passed all of them. What did they do? They got on our wheel. So they're going to learn. You just ride. Don't be the bad guy. People are going to pick up. Some people learn by experiencing. Some people, you can tell something's hot. They got to touch it and get burned before they learn. And some people just pick it up. So yeah, don't worry about it. It's fun. Group rides are fun. I don't want anybody to think they're not. All right. Let's see here. Eric says he's talking to somebody about his saddle. A prophet is despised in his own country. That's why your cycling buddies don't listen to you. Jamal Griffith. I've read that passage. Yeah. I guess it's always the case that sometimes I have to fight to convince my wife about things that I already know. I used to consult and I would travel. And one time I had to tell her, I said, do you realize people fly me to New York for what I'm telling you for free? And they got her attention. Something to do with her Apple computer she had. She was doing something on there. So that's funny. Ayo, Bubby, I don't race anymore. I got tired of all the traveling. Now I could, if I wanted to, I would just get temporary license. But if I were going to do it, I would just get a license for the year. Nothing stops me from doing it. You can do like the age group race, like more races, like 50 plus. That's probably the category I would race in. I just don't do it. I did it for a long time. A lot of traveling. You live in and out of suitcases. But we do grand fondos now. We go and I try to do things that are close within maybe hour or so of the area. Texas is very big. I don't want to spend hours driving to stuff. An hour and a half or two. But I may race later. Nothing stops me from doing it. I'm in really good condition now. I rode a lot. This is my rest week. So I dropped my durations in half. I'm just spinning really than anything, just to let my body absorb. But Saturday, I'm going to pour it on because my rest week is every other day and then ride the weekend like normal. During the week, it allows me to absorb the training from the last 6 weeks. This is week 7 for me. Those of you who work with me, you know what that means. So week 7, you're just going to go into rest mode. You're still riding, but you're not riding every day and you're not really training that much. Just keeping your body loose. That's why you see this video with the ASOS thing. I got some other ones. I'm going to do more videos this week since I'm resting. But that ASOS thing, I took it out today, got drizzled on. It's going to be, I think it's good. I love the way it looks. Robert made a comment about he hopes it reflects the sun. It's very glossy. I don't know, but I like the way it looks. It almost looks like military boots for the bike. I love that the front. It looks tough and rugged. They did a good job with it. Somebody said it might be discontinued. Some comment I saw in there. I haven't responded to it. And it's possible, but I don't know. We found it on Merlin cycles at a good price. And so I like it. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. Everything about it. It's not plasticky. From the side, from the outside, it looks glossy. There's fabric on the inside, so it breathes. I don't know how they did it. That's why I put all the technical stuff in the video, scrolling. That's from their write-up. They have the very technical garments, that materials that they use in there. It's not just something that was done, you know. Razvan, welcome. Chris Roxbury, Ben. Oh, he's talking to Ben. Okay. Robert Tangler is here. Robert, Chris won a jersey. Since you just got here, you didn't get to see it. He wants me to sign it. I put Veloharmony on it. He wants me to sign this. I got to find a spot to sign it somewhere where it's just off to the side, maybe next to the SMS logo. Let's see here. But John, but there's certain guys in our group still have to be careful around even after years of riding. Same thing here. I think 2 weeks ago, Mark did like a fishtail. And then this week, I was going to talk to Paul about it. This weekend, when Mark was looking behind the Saturday ride, Paul's filming him. He falls off the group that he was killing himself with. They drop him in between the two hills. And he turns around and does an S. And there was an oncoming car. And he was pretty close to the yellow line. You know, he didn't cross the line or anything. But what I observed, it seems that every time Mark turns around, his bike does a fishtail, which is a sign of a fit being off. You have no control over your hips. If you guys watch Mark when he's riding, his body is like this. He's having trouble reaching the bottom of the stroke, so he's rocking. And every time he turns around, his bike does that. And he did that 2 weeks ago and almost caused a problem in the pace line. So that was what I was going to mention to Paul, is that that's a symptom of another problem. He has no control over the bike with his hips. You know, so fit is very important. You should be controlling that bike with your hip. So let's see here. Michael Fernandez, I opted out of the ride to hear the Master Legend. Oh, don't miss your ride, buddy. You can watch this stuff you can watch it in replay. What I do is when I'm in the kitchen preparing food for the family or whatever, I run it on. We have Dish Network, and they've added, which I thought was neat, they've added Netflix and YouTube easily to where you can go to you hit the home button twice. They sent us a new remote. The home button twice takes you to like the home page where all the apps are. And so you have YouTube in the apps, and it's so much easier connecting that than using the TV app that comes with the LCD TV we have. So I use that a lot. Just go there and it loads the video so I can watch these things and kind of critique myself. You know, did you answer that well, or was that, you know, too much or whatever? So try to streamline stuff. So no, you can replay this stuff. It's pretty interesting. All right, let's see here. Mountain bike is cool. I wish I had one to high cadence up a dirt hill. Yeah, you look on eBay, man. Mountain bikes people are always moving bikes. If you know your size, you don't have to buy new stuff all the time. You know, somebody made a comment here a few weeks ago. I should have a place where we load pictures of our bikes. And I didn't say it at that time, but I kind of want to just use this opportunity to say, it doesn't matter what bikes you have. Just get a bike you can ride. Seasoned riders don't really care what kind of bike you have. Really, it's not a status thing. I know some people may think that it is, but it's not. What seasoned riders are more interested in is how you perform. You can have the crappiest bike. When it gets hard and you're holding that pace, that's when you get noticed. Just remember that. So don't buy a bike that will interfere with your ability to ride. Buy a bike that doesn't tap your wallet too much so you have time to ride. That's what we notice. I'm more interested in what the person's doing than the bike they're on and how they look on their bike. If your bike fits you, yeah. Riders can spot you by the way you perform on your bike. They can know, okay, this guy, he's paid his dues. You don't have to have been riding for a lot of years. They'll know, okay, pay his dues mean he's got his fit. He's worked on effort. That's what we look at. That's what's important to me. I don't care about the branding of your bike or how fancy it is. There's a lot of people with fancy bikes getting dropped and off the pace or dangerous, like John Bailey said. You know, they got all these bikes and then it causing a crash. What is that? You should have been working on bike handling, you know, because I don't want to fall. You know, nobody wants to fall. So this group that we ride with are very safe. That's one thing. Regardless of what you see going on, they're very, very safe. You know, we don't worry too much about it. That stuff with Mark and the fishtailing, it's kind of an off thing, but it's not off. I don't know what's going on, but it just seems like every time he looks behind, his bike twitches, and I think it's just the way his body is on the bike right now. So, but they're very safe. Yeah, you want to ride with a safe group. You don't want to be falling when you go for your rides. We're trying to fire the doctors. That's one of our bylines, remember? Let's see here. And so Ben says, thanks, Elder and Chris, because Chris told Ben to relax. You know, he said, I'm just intimidated that I might make errors in switching lanes, messing up the pace. I've been riding a few months, I've been loving it. That's why I want you to watch the videos. And actually, in the group ride, there's a video on group ride cycling etiquette. Because once you know the rules of the game, nothing intimidates you. You know, so it's kind of like if you know the rules of the game and somebody does something that's not in the rules, you don't worry about them. They give you a funny look and they don't know what they're doing. You could care less because you know what you're doing. Let me see here. Edit playlist. I don't know if it's in this one. I want to give you that one on etiquette to kind of start you off besides the group rides. And that's why I started doing the group ride, because I was making videos about how you ride in a group, how you pull and all of that. And it was getting kind of old. And so it just seemed natural to start putting narration in these rides. So you got to see it instead of me talking about it. So in the group ride playlist, I believe I put it on there. In the group ride playlist, here is a video that is right along your comment about group riding etiquette. I will just put this in there. There are other videos in that playlist. Go and look at the playlist and look for the one, how to ride in a group. I will give you this one first, but there are many others besides the group rides themselves. That's why I sent you there, since you're concerned about that. Let me pull the link for this one. I got to click on it first because it's in the list. Let's see, share. I can copy. Okay. Let's stop that. Start with this one here, Ben. Don't be intimidated. You're really ahead of the game. I think that is one of the videos in the playlist for group rides. That will get you started. But go through there and educate yourself. I'll go back and I'll watch those things. And sometimes, you know, it helps me when I make another video. So I still watch the old stuff because when I put it on there, I just start a playlist and it just runs. So when I'm doing something else, I can just listen to it. That's why I ended up putting this on iTunes, because you can listen to some of it. All right. Let's see here. Freedom Cycles. Okay. Ayo Buddy. Second race is on Sunday. This is Ayo Bubby. He says his second race is on Sunday. He lives in California. Is a criterium. Last race was last season. I placed 24th out of 44. Okay. Debating whether to race just a Cat 5 or both that and the Cat 4 and 5. Well, your decision will be based on how, if you did a Cat 5 and you were in the middle, you could probably do Cat 4. I like 4 because it's safer. The 5s are like new people. And there were a lot of crashes in the 5s when I used to compete. I didn't stay in 5 very long. I did one race. That was it. Catted up. Because, 24th out of 44, you can probably hang. And, it might be a little harder, but it will be safer, a little safer than 5. So, just do. Sometimes they join them. I guess that's what you mean, 4 or 5. They don't have a high turnout. They'll combine the classes. But just do Cat 4. Start there. That's going to be challenging enough. There's some strong Cat 4, especially in California. You guys ride all year. Yeah, do Cat 4. See how you do in Cat 4. But then once you cat up, you can't go back down to 5 now. That's not cool. So Think about it. Okay. But or you could stay at 5 and then do 4 and 5. See how that goes before you cat up. Because when you cat up, it's a little harder. That's the whole point of catting up. All right. Don't want to bust my teeth in again. Did you crash? I hope you didn't. I mean, if you do 4 and 5, stay near the front. The stronger guys will be there. It will be smoother, even though it's fast, but you will avoid the people who get tired or make a lot of mistakes generally. You know, people get excited at races and they make mistakes that you wouldn't usually find in a group ride. Some people are nervous. You know, there's a lot of stuff. The racing is dangerous. It can be anyway. But once the pace gets hot, it gets really safe because the groups just split up. Just like you saw us on the road, you know, it just splits up. So if you can stay with the top guys, you will be safer. The top third of the pack. Don't worry too much about crashing. Focus more on your bike handling and being able to avoid crashes. If somebody falls in front of you, don't rely on braking. Look for a hole to get around them if possible. That's why a lot of riders that do mountain biking and stuff, they take those skills to the road. And you will see a lot of mountain bikers, somebody fall in front of them, just jump over them, jump over the wheel, you know, because a lot of times the bike is in the way more than the rider, you know. And so, yeah. Then sometimes you just can't avoid it. I was riding with UMC. It's been about 3 years now on a highway 2854, and 2 guys hooked, their handlebars hooked, and they crashed in front of me. Well, the shoulder was completely covered with one guy in his bike. And the other guy was near the white line rolling. And then I knew there were cars coming. You know, it's a highway. I just took the fall. I'm not going to go jump in front of a car. So there was grass over there. So I knew I was going to fall. So I controlled the fall as best as I could and immediately jumped up, took my bike off the road, and to go get the other guy. He had fallen into the grass. Because they saw him and they said, we just saw you jump up and run. Yeah, I jumped up to get off the highway. I was still on the shoulder, but I got off the highway to go see how he was doing because he fell head down into the side of the road towards where the water collects, like the gutter. So his head was down, his feet was up. You know, just had they just hooked, you know. And it looked worse than it was, but one guy hurt his shoulder. But it was just a careless accident. It shouldn't have happened, but it happens, you know. You worry about it. Just you fall, you get up, get going, get back on your bike, you know, get through it. All right. Jeffrey's talking about hands-free riding. There's a video on the channel on hands-free riding, Jeffrey. If you just search and just type hands-free, there's a video I made that gives you good tips. Yusuf, welcome. So we got Ben at Jeffrey. I have attempted off handle riding. Okay. So yeah, let's see. That's good. So you can't worry about falling. You know, you fall, just try to analyze why it happened so you can understand what caused it so it's not repeated. That's the best thing you can do. That's kind of the way I function. Charlie Huge, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Have you had any experience with feedback sport work stands? Yes, sir. That's what I use now. That's what's in my studio. All my videos is standing as a red, kind of a burgundy looking, dark red work stand. That's what I use. I love it. It's years old. I don't remember when I got it, but it's probably 6. It was before, I think that they got bought out or something. But yeah, I use their stuff. And that's the same, I think it's the same company I bought the stand that my bikes are stored on, where it's not connected to the house. It's got like a spring-driven tensioner that holds it on the ceiling and the floor. And it's got arms. I bought their stand. They make good cycling storage and work products. And I like what I've had to replace on my work stand is the clamp, the padding is red that holds the seat post. I had it cracked over the years. I mean, it's been like probably almost 8-9 years old. So I replaced it, and it was like $12 to get the replacement part from them. and all I had to remove were 4 screws and put them back in with an Allen key. So they're very easy to use and they last. They make good stuff. It's on my channel page as one of the recommended work stands for people, because people have asked about what do I recommend. So yeah, I love their stuff. That's what I use. So Philip says, don't crash what you can't replace. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't worry about falling. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, especially from all the falls I had when I used to mountain bike. Because when Christian came newly in the area, he asked me about it. And I told him, yeah, I don't mountain bike anymore because I fell more on the mountain bike than I do on the road. But I learned so much from just sliding in the gravel and sliding on the roots and the rocks, as far as the handling of my bike, to where I can tell when the road bike is on the edge. That's what you get that you can't get easily on the road necessarily. All of that transfers, when we're riding in the wet and all of that. It gives you a lot of confidence in your handling. You saw the road was wet on Saturday. That's why Neville was way outside. He took kind of a wide line. That's a slow line. I just went on the inside. Because as long as your bike is relatively straight, doesn't matter what the road's doing. When you lean the bike, then it affects the traction. So you got to be able to feel that. And with mountain biking, I learned how to, when you get on the edge, you can unclip and come back, even on the road bike. But I learned that from mountain biking, because you go around a dirt track and the rear wheel starts going, you can take off your foot and get it going. So it's a good discipline, I think, for every cyclist. Yeah, so. Any recommendation for bike stands for 2 bikes? Yeah, I've got one in my studio. I don't even know the name. I've never had anybody ask for that. Feedback Sports has bike stands. Now, the one I have is not attached to anything. Like if you live in an apartment or somewhere, or a townhome, whatever, like if you're renting, you don't want to physically attach stuff to the wall. The one with the tensioner is perfect, because you pull it, the spring driven, and you pull it up and put it on the ceiling, then you tighten it, and the ceiling and the floor, and you just got, and you can put as many bikes as you want on it. So go to feedbacksports.com. They've got good stands there if you want to store 2 bikes. Now they got different. They're not the only one. The one I chose to use in my studio is more robust. Some people like the one where you got the little slanted. It's like some of them is wooden, like parallel pegs, and then the foot gets on the ground. It seems to take up a lot of room on the floor, so I didn't really want to go with that. But there are many stands out there. It's just a matter of the budget you have and what you want to spend on the stand. But it's just storage. I mean, I wouldn't spend too much money on it just to store bikes. And some people put stuff on the wall. If you put it on the wall, you can kind of put the wheel on a hook and then have something else for the rear wheel to stay on. You can put a lot of bikes in a small space. I like that kind of setup, like in a garage setting where you got a wall you can put bikes on. That's probably what I'm going to do. My girl's got 2 bikes now. My wife has a bike she's riding again. So I may store theirs in the garage on something like that. Just line them up. Takes up less room. John says that somebody went down after hitting some trash. Yeah, you gotta pay attention when you're riding, man. That's, I talk about it all the time. I don't have anything in my ear. I'm always looking for what's out there, because I don't want to fall. I mean, it's like you don't have to be going fast to hurt yourself. I mean, think about it this way: like the guys in the NFL, they'll tackle somebody, and the person falls, and then it looks regular, and all of a sudden they got a dislocated shoulder, or just because they hit the ground a certain way. So yeah, and think about it, you sit higher on your bike. So you don't have to be going fast to fall. In fact, the slow falls are more dangerous because you're just hitting, so you need to be careful of that. Yeah, Michael, I think that will work for you. Go to Feedback Sports. It depends on how much money you want to spend. And the 2 things I described would work. The one where they make them out of wood and they lean up against the wall, and they've got hooks, like arms sticking out where you can just put the bike up and down. That's pretty common. The one I'm using in the studio is a little more robust, where it's like an aluminum post and it's spring driven. And then you just extend it, you telescope it to the ceiling, and then tighten it. And it just stands in place, and it's got arms that you attach to the side to hold your bike. That's what I use for those, the 2 bikes that are stored back there. That will work. That's perfect. Because a lot of times you want to, I wanted something I'll be able to move around if I needed to. So that's why I didn't get something that's permanent, putting holes in the wall and all that. The spring work stand. I have what work stand do I have? I know what you're talking about. I have 2 work stands. I have the other one is not from Feedback. I have the standard work stand in the studio, and I have the smaller one that's more portable that you see the UCI pros use, where they're washing the bikes and they take off the front wheel. That's what I use when I wash my bike, because I like to remove the front wheel so I can get inside the fork. And so I remove the front wheel from there. And you can also remove the rear wheel and flip it around if you want. But it holds the bottom bracket in the center, and you can attach the skewer, the front fork, to the skewer and work on your bike. It's very portable. You can spin it around. I don't know what brand I use. Let's see here. You can find the work stand. Well, it's a little pricey, the little stand. I guess the portability is almost $300. I bought it years ago, but I use it so much it's paid for itself. It's just nice to have outside. It's all plastic, so I put it outside when I'm washing the bike. I made a video using it years ago. It stays in the garage. Some people bring their bike for repair, and I'll just use it, work on that bike out there. Let's see here, work stand. There we go. It's called TAC Spider Team Work Stand. Let's see, bike stands. Let me put the link here. And it's gone down quite a bit, $249. They're very good to have because if you go to races or other places, you go on an adventure, it telescopes. You can fold it and put it in a bag. It comes with a bag that you can carry. Let's see here, bike stands. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to put this link here for you guys if you want to look at it. It's on the Veloharmony website. Many people have asked about it, and I did that a long time ago. You will see Feedback Sports work stand on there. The price is within $7 of the other one. And the Feedback Sport work stand also folds, and it comes with a bag as well, even though it telescopes into a full-blown work stand as opposed to the compact one. That's what I use. I can't function without a work stand. I'm spoiled, I guess. When I come from a ride, I just put the bike on the stand. It's at eye level. So the pedal, when I put my arm down, my hand reaches exactly where the pedal is. So if I want to clean the chain, I don't have to bend or anything. And so it's just really quick. So whenever I ride, the bike goes on the work stand, clean the chain, wipe the tubes, then I put it up. Every ride. Just so the next day, just in case something happened I may have missed while cleaning it, you can come across it. That way it's ready for the next ride. No surprises. So it's good to have a work stand, because otherwise you're leaning over the bike to put the rag on there to keep your chain clean, and you're not apt to do it all the time. The storage rack. Okay, Michael, use that link that I just put on there, and you will see, use that link and scroll down. The storage rack that I use is there. It's $149.39 US. It's gone down quite a bit. What I do is I get a link from Amazon. I put it on this site, and it updates the price. As the prices change, it looks for the current price. That's the kind of coding that I use on this recommended cycling price. So I don't have to keep updating it. So the price is same thing with the Super Magneto Pro. They used to be like $400. Now they're like $199. So it finds the best price that's on Amazon now. And so, Michael, that storage rack you asked about, it's on there from Feedback Sports, and I think that's a good value for the quality. I like it better than those wooden ones that lean up on the wall. Just use that link. Use that link and scroll down, and you'll see it. It's right beneath the repair stands. I must have put that there a while back. Somebody must have asked for that as well. You're welcome, Michael. That saved you a lot of headache. So whenever I get one or two people asking for stuff, it gets more frequent. I add it to this page. I had to do that. Otherwise, I would have just been looking for stuff all the time. And the page has just grown. And so what I do is I put hashtags in there. That's why you see hashtag in the link. Bike stands. And so I sectioned everything off so it's easy to find from a logical standpoint. So, yeah. So there's so much on there. So I don't know, Christopher, where am I going to sign this thing? What do you want me to sign it right here? I got to be on somewhere light. Maybe over to the side here. Let's stretch that right about there. I'll sign it above the date. I think that would be cool. Just in that direction. Stretch it out and sign it. Those markers, sometimes they don't perform too well on a fabric. I need to make something that writes well on our elastane. But this is made out of, let's see. And this is an extra large, but it's really like a large US because Santini's stuff is small. They cut them small. So this is chest size from 39 to 42. It will fit comfortably, and it's what they call a club fit, so it's not going to be super skin tight. Fits really well. You got that cyclist with a rooster on the back. I don't know what that's all about, but I guess we'll get up early enough. We're getting up before the rooster crows. But I think that's a cool jersey. Hey, Timothy Jeffrey, I really enjoy watching your group rides. I think you should include more footage of what happens at the end of the ride. Most time the video ends with a lot of miles still to go. Yeah, the last ride, what happened at the end is we left them and rode home because they kept waiting. That's the thing. Well, yeah, so yeah, I do include what happens at the end, but that's what we've been talking about. They wasted 45 minutes of our time just waiting around and just wasting time. I like to be moving. So yeah, whenever possible, we do our best to get what happens at the end, but sometimes it's kind of like the group gets like where you saw this last video, the traffic light at 1488. We're right outside the Woodlands. Right there. The ride's pretty much over. And then what happens is the group goes back to the start and we take another way to go home. So what we do is we get the last action of the ride. So when you see us jumping from there to just us, we grab the last action that happened with the group. That's what we try to capture. So because a lot of times they do everything the first hour. And if you've watched a lot of the rides, when we get to that taco corner, if we go that way, at that point, a lot of them are thinking about going home because they've gone too hard. Or, that's where they literally in the parking lot, they say, oh, we'll decide at taco because they don't pace themselves. And this week, it was actually said in the parking lot, let's get the taco corner and then we'll decide. Because they don't make a plan ahead of time that we're going to do, since we're doing, they'll say we're doing, let's say 80 miles. They'll say that, but they don't change how they ride. And you can't do 80 miles like you're doing 40 or 25. So what ends up happening, even though they say they're doing 80 miles, they ride like they're doing 25 miles. And when they get to that store, they change their mind. So the group splits. And so 2 weeks ago, we went to the lake house. You could see all the splits. After the lake house, the reason why you didn't see much is because only 5 people decided to continue riding. The rest of them went home. So they overdo things to where the group just disintegrates after the first hour. So yeah, we do our best to grab it. So what you're seeing is really what happened. The rooster is Mo. All right, Chris, you're in rare form. Philip said, use a permanent fabric marker. Fabric marker, huh? Okay, I guess I got to look for that. You mean a Sharpie wouldn't work, Philip? A fabric marker. Okay. So, Chris, what I will do is I'll find a fabric marker tomorrow. Let me see here, because I don't have a specific marker called fabric. It's just a permanent marker. We've got permanent markers and Sharpies all over, but it sounds like there's something specific. I'll look it up. I was thinking like how you cool down, maybe a short summary, how you stretch and hydrate at the end. Yeah, I can't do that on every ride. We've done that. I know what you're talking about, Timothy. We've done some cool downs, and yeah, we can do that because Paul and I do cool down. We've done it on some videos. We don't do it every week. We've done it on some videos where we went through the woodlands and then we cut through the bike path on the way back where we said we were cooling down and so forth. Yeah. We can do that. That's definitely not a problem because we do film our stuff. Sharpie will wash away. Okay, gotcha. But the one I used here, I think will be okay because I used an actual permanent. Okay, I'll look for one. I don't want it to wash away. Okay, permanent fabric marker. A stretching video. All right, Super Legend. See, I listen to my super legends. They are the producers of the film on this channel. I changed the credits. On the credits where it said Veloharmony, thanks. You're going to start seeing, even on this video I released today, it says, I think produced by or something like that. You guys are the producers of all the content now. I'm giving you credit, all you patrons or patrons. So I changed it. Instead of saying Veloharmony thanks, I said, no, produced. The Veloharmony film is produced by, and then all you guys are there. Stretching video, no problem. We'll put that in the queue here. Let me put it in there right now because I don't want to have to think about it. We'll just do it in soft copy here. Veloharmony. And oops, what did I do? There we go. Stretching video. Yeah, there are some stretches that are best for cyclists that I do, where you stretch. I stretch my quadriceps, my hamstrings primarily, my lower back. And they're very relaxing stretches. They're not painful or anything. But literally, you just, I turn on cartoons on the TV or maybe a football game or whatever, and I sit downstairs on the mat and just stretch. And it just really helps your recovery. So I think that would be ideal. Okay, fabric marker. So I got to look for a fabric marker. So I will look for a fabric marker and go over what I did and sign it and get it to you probably on Friday, Chris. I'll try to look for it tomorrow. Get that bad boy out to you. Got to do it right. Do you use your Cyclops provided skewer on the road, or do you replace it before you go out? It's hit or miss. Sometimes I forget. But not on the bike that like with the group rides and stuff, because I don't really, if the bike, yeah, I have. Sometimes I just forget to take it off. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, but I know what you mean. I have 2 of them because I had an older trainer a long time ago that had a similar skewer, and I kept it. I gave it to some guy who needed a trainer a long time ago, but I kept the skewer because he already had one. So I have 2 that I use. When I do fits, I take the skewer because most people that bring their bikes, they got the fancy new skewers, and you don't want them scratched. They're not designed for the trainer. So I take them out and replace them with mine. And I always make a note to remove them because sometimes people have left after their fit and they've got my skewer. But yeah, sometimes they're on my bike if I used it on the trainer that week. But the last month or so, I have not used the trainer. You guys know, I've been on the road. So that hasn't been a problem. But yes, it does happen. I don't notice it. You know, it feels a little dense. I mean, if I weighed it, it might be a few grams more, but I don't think it's that significant. One thing I do, and I was going to mention this since Paul is on here, when you ride in the rain, you want to take the nut off your skewer and put a little bit of oil on the threads because the skewer gets rusty. It gets surface rust on it. You know, they're not stainless, you know, so just remember that. And it can just kind of seize up after a while if you just leave it on there. So periodically, you know, whenever I clean the bike after a rainy ride, I unscrew the nut, put a little bit of oil on it and put it back. Same thing happens to your chain. If you're riding the rain and just put the bike in the garage and don't wipe the chain, you get surface rust on it, like overnight, you know, unless it's got a lot of oil on it. But what we've been doing when we're riding the rain is I use the heavier lube, the wet lube. The only thing about it is it gets black. It picks up all kinds of crap. But it works great in the rain, though. You know. So, but once we're done with the rainy rides, I strip it. I put the Zep on it and then go back to my gold, you know, chain gold. I like that because it keeps the chain clean. I don't like a black looking chain. It's just you know, it doesn't look right. So yeah. I don't get into worrying too much about weight, you know, because I know the skewer is lighter. This one's lighter. I like skewers that have good bite because I don't want the wheel to move. It happened to me one day on a group ride where I had a weak skewer on there and at the light started to go and the wheel just moved. And so it's rubbing on your frame, you know, and I pulled over right away and I knew what it was and just tightened the skewer more. And since then, that skewer has been in the trash bin. It was just kind of weak. It had served its purpose. So Timothy says, I looked at your videos on fit, but I'm always wondering how that factors into choosing a bike size. I can buy a bike, but the fit may be limited to the bike geometry and the effect. Yeah, it does. So you need to know. That's why a lot of people have asked this question. So what we did is we set up a service called bike sizing. When you go to get a fit, usually you show up with a bike a lot of times at a studio. And then depending on how fortunate you were when you purchased the bike, it might be your size or slightly smaller or a little bigger. You know, if it's too big, a lot of places will say, you know, we really don't recommend you even spend the money for the fit until you get a frame for you. And then what they end up doing is suggesting that you get a bike sizing done, which is a lot less than a full fit. So they can tell you what frame will fit you and how much you can go up or down within reason. We do that online for people now because everybody's been asking for that. So you need to know which frame size will work for you if you don't know before you purchase a frame. Don't walk into the bike shop and hope that that person's experienced enough to size you correctly. That's rare because most of the time they're trying to sell what they have. And you might get lucky, but why take that chance? Why spend thousands when $100 can tell you, okay, this is what you need. And then what I do is I allow people to give me 2 manufacturers that they're looking at. And I can look at the angles on their seat tube to make sure that you will be able to get your seat back far enough. Because if you're very tall and that company or manufacturer makes, say, 74-degree seat tubes or 73.5, and you need a 72, then I would say, oh, you might want to consider a Cervelo because Cervelo, they do the 72s and so forth. That's the thing. That's what you're looking at. So the fit is separate from your sizing because you need to know what kind of size will work for you. A lot of times you learn that during a fit. If you show up and they do a fit on a bike and you find out this bike is a little too small for me, but my next bike. So a lot of times when I do a fit, people get a bike sizing with it depending on which fit they bought. You know, it's on the website on the cycling services. But if you just want to know your bike size, you just go ahead and get the bike sizing service and we'll tell you what you need. But then if you got two manufacturers in mind, you let us know. We'll put that in there and let you know which ones will work for you, which frames they have in what size and stack height and so forth. That's going to fit you well or be easy for you to fit. Because it's possible to get a frame you just can't fit. I don't care what kind of funky setback seat post you get on there. So yeah, it's important that you know it. It's not just the height of the seat tube, the angle, and then the head tube. You want to be able to get low enough. See, Jeffrey said, I got the oldest fitment tip, the oldest fitment tip. The LBS stated, stand over it. If you can lift it 2 inches, it's for size. That's the old school, kind of like the old way of doing it. It's just with the traditional geometry and so forth, just to make sure you have enough clearance. If you can lift it up 2 inches, well, what if you can lift it up more than 2? It might be too small. So yeah, it's something. It's like a hedge, like all the other stuff, like knee over pedal axle and all that. Why take that chance? Nowadays the bikes are too expensive to be taking that kind of chance. Brendan said he loves the Assos. I took the Assos S7 booties out today, the rain booty, and a little bit of drizzle and so forth. Kept my feet warm. They work. They work great. Now nothing's waterproof. If you go in torrential rain and it's hitting your leg, even that little silicone strip, water might get in there. But what I liked about it was the nose, that rugged piece is also impermeable to water. And then it wraps under the shoe, which most of our shoes have vents under there. So in lieu of you covering your vent, that nose piece will cover it, because the way they did, they elasticize it. So it actually is snug up against your shoe under there. So all those little things that they did just impressed me about it. And then it just looks good. I love the way it looks. Robert said, he put a comment, I hope it reflects sunlight. I don't know. I mean, it's black. I don't know. I know it's shiny and glossy. I doubt it will reflect. But it was really cool that it just put that little Assos, that little emblem, or how you call it, well, not an avatar, like their logo. They just dropped it on the nose. And I thought, that's really cool. I like that. No name, no nothing. They just dropped the little logo. In other words, if you're in the know, you'll know what Assos is. They do that on their bib shorts too. Just put the little logo on one side instead of Cervelo painting that name all over the bike and then a fork. They need to take a hint from Assos, and I thought that was really cool. So I really enjoyed that. Let's see here. Timothy said he was told that a size 61 is my size in one LBS, but the guy I bought my bike from told me I'm a 58. The 58 works good, but I had to drop my seat post. I may also need to shorten my stem. Before you buy anything, it sounds like you need a fit, because the fit will give you what you can do with these bikes. That's what I do with the remote fit, like guys like Noel Pagan. Noel, the big guy like me, and he had a frame that the top tube was kind of short. So he ended up getting a 15 stem to just get this frame to work. Normally, you don't want a 15 stem. You want a 13 or 12 or something like that. So if somebody says a 61, depends on how they measure it. Are they measuring center to center? Are they measuring center to top? The manufacturers are all over the map on that. I like to measure center to center where the tubes meet, because that's your true size, as opposed to counting what's above the lugs. It's always different. Like, so you got to be real careful with that. 58, 61, like the bike I'm riding, the Colnago, the manufacturer calls it a 61. It measures 57 and a half center to center. The 61 is made up by the lug above where the tubes meet. So that's not really the size of the frame. The size of the frame is truly where the tubes meet. So center to center, and nowadays they give you both, but you want to get your size first, as opposed to having somebody saying, oh, and then if you know you're a 58 center to center, it doesn't matter what the manufacturer calls the frame. You just measure center to center, because online they give you both measurements. They call it a 61 or whatever, and then they give you the measurement where the tubes meet. The guys at the bike shop may not. That's another thing to be cautious about. That's why you need to know how your size is derived, and then you ask for your size if you're getting it from the bike shop. All right, we got a few minutes left here, about 5 minutes, and we're done. I got the bike sizing done. Oh yeah, Chris did the bike sizing. Yeah. Oh, you already knew your numbers. Okay. Yeah, I wrote a program because I had so many people asking for it. So I wrote a program, and that's why I asked for so much information when you signed up. I just put your numbers in there, and it spits it out. And then if you give me a manufacturer, I go ahead and look at their numbers and see how close they come to you. So it makes it easy. Well, Brennan, if they're not just for rain. If you ever ride when it's cold, if it's below 50 degrees, your feet get cold. We ride for hours at a time, so I want to be comfortable. So yeah, it keeps my feet warm. So I know I'm going to use it. It's not just for rain. I wanted something that would keep me warm and dry, and it fits the bill. It's the same thing with the reflective ones that I wore over the weekend. That'll keep me warm and dry. So yeah, I haven't done that. I used that one in heavy rain yet, but I can tell by the material that they put in there. They didn't sell it as such. It's, they didn't say much about it, but you can tell. So yeah, I don't like riding with cold feet. I see a lot of guys, like Saturday we rode, very few people had covers on. More had covers. The people didn't know wear covers. And that's why they can't ride long. That's why this guy's asking for the end of the ride. I mean, other than the cool down. The rides for them end before we. That's why Paul and I will do 5-6 hours. They don't do that much. They don't want to. That's fine. We choose to, because during the week we can't do as much. So on the weekends we go ahead. That's when we can do 3 hours or more. Some of those guys will ride 2 hours on a Saturday. That's sacrilege. What's the point of that? Not that there's anything wrong, but I'm just saying that's when you can go out. That's all I know. Saturday, you head out. That's what Katie said. It is Saturday. What else are you gonna do? Got to go long. So let's see here. Roy Bakta. I hate over tacky branding too. Got some bib ties that need some black Sharpie. Yeah, I do that. I use the black Sharpie stuff on the other thing. I got to get that fabric Sharpie to talk about. I dumb down some stuff. It just needs to be subtle. I don't like it all over the place. Oh, Robert said he wanted to use aluminum foil. I believe they work. I've heard about them. I don't use them. I mean, with the covers, they're fine. And then I wear wool socks. Charlie Hughes says Savello sizing where the tubes meet. No, they probably, all the manufacturers size differently. And what they do is it makes it easy for them to sell their bikes. So for example, I'll use Colnago. Colnago will say I have a 61, but they tell you how they get their 61. They show you the center, they show you the top. That's the size of the frame as far as they're concerned. Now, they also give you the option of getting the center to center measurement as well, which is I consider the true size. So the manufacturer's size may not necessarily represent the center to center measurement. It will probably be center to top measurement. A lot of them do that. And from manufacturer to manufacturer, center to top will vary, because what if this brand uses a fancy lug that's huge? That's part of the measurement that they're doing now. So their 61 might really be a 58, like the gentleman put in there. So don't go by that. Go by your center to center. You can't go wrong. And then if you're dealing with a sloping tube, you got to know your stack to know what works for you. It's getting a little more complicated because they're doing the sloping geometry now. And so you got to consider the stack as well as the seat tube. All right, we've got about a minute left. You mentioned 25 size on the rear, but do you see a big difference if you switch back to 23? I don't ride 23s on the rear. Yeah, there is a huge difference. I put 23 on the blue bike on the front because that's all it will take because of that fork that's on there. All my tires are 25 or 28 on the rear. So much more comfortable. And they're faster too. You got more rubber on the road. I'm a big guy. I need rubber on the road. Those little people riding 23s, yeah, I guess they're okay. But I've ridden them. And so, yeah, big difference. Big difference. I do 25 on the rear or 28 on the rear. My next bike, I would size it to where it would take a 32 on the rear. Big tires. You roll better. So the 28 is sweet. I put the 28 on that orange bike. It sings to me. Beautiful. Yeah. Too bad they don't make the Vittoria Evo in a 28. That's what I'm looking for. It's on my list. I would like to get a Vittoria Evo CX in a 28. They only do 25. But when you size the tires, probably like 26 once you pump it up. So that's good enough. It's close enough. But that's what I use. No, I don't use 23s on the rear. My Colnago has 25s front and back because the classic tires on there only come in 25s. They're just more comfortable. So we're going to go. You guys, we're done. We'll wrap it up. You guys have a good evening. Simon Moses finally made it. We're closing shop. All right. Is it advisable to just change out the tires on my road bike and use it on gravel? You need gravel tires for gravel. I wouldn't use road tires on gravel because you need tires that are big. So we're done. Cheers. We'll see you guys next time.